Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today I have this piece of wood from Dave at Calm Wood Creations. It is a Rhodey root ball. He sent this to me along with another piece of wood, actually two other pieces of wood, and he marked surprise on here because he told me he was sending me something, but sometimes he does this. He includes a little something extra, and this is the extra. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this turning. I'm not going to be able to put it on a woodworm screw, which is my preferred method. I'm going to just put it between centers. I'm going to try and offset the piece a little bit so that this part gets turned away, the cut part gets turned away before the rest of it does. So that'll make it off balance, but that's okay. I don't want to do any more damage to this piece than I have to. So let me bring you over here to the lathe and we'll see if we can't get it mounted up between centers. This is going to be a little awkward for me because I seldom do this. I've got my 4-prong drive center mounted up in my chuck. I've got my live center on this end, and I'm just going to hold this up here where I think I want it approximately and bring up my live center. And then I'm just going to rotate the piece and see where in relationship to the tool rest it comes up. So I'm just looking at the distance between my tool rest and the different parts of this as it turns. So I'm about 3/8 of an inch away here, just about touching here. And over here I'm about an inch away, 3/4 of an inch to an inch away, and that's good. So we won't be touching this at all. Here I'm about 2 inches away, and when I get over to this side I'm also about 2 inches away. So I'm about centered side to side, and I'm going to take more off of this end than I am this end. So that's really about the best I can do. So I'm just going to apply a whole lot of pressure from my live center. Hopefully that will drive the drive center into position and provide enough bite to move the piece along. I'm sure I'll have to tighten as I go. And looking over here at the drive center, I've got 3 prongs engaged and the 4th one is not engaged. But that's probably okay. It's probably good enough. And like I said, it'll probably loosen up as I work, and I'll just have to keep remembering to tighten that up. So let's see. We'll start with a 5/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge just to kind of round this up. And then we'll put some sort of a bottom on here and a tenon and just keep working away like we do. Let me get my mask and face shield on, sharpen up my bowl gouge, and we'll get at it. I don't think I mentioned the size of this piece. It's about 7 inches by about 5 inches by about 3.5 inches thick. We're going to be turning at 580 RPM. See, my drive center's already come loose some. So I'm just applying more pressure, and that will be the story for a while. Okay, we're fully round on that side, and that's good. Just beginning to touch over here. So maybe we should go to work on the bottom. I'll apply some more pressure. Got to get up high enough to create a tenon that's more than half a tenon. Doesn't have to be a full tenon, but it's got to be more than half, that's for sure. Which might be a little bit of a problem because we've got a natural indentation here. Golly gosh. Well, it is what it is, you know. We just have to go as far as we have to go. At least I haven't touched any of this yet. That's nice. I haven't touched any of that. But I need more surface. Let's just see where we are. Well, it doesn't have to be as big as I have it. That's the tenon size I need, but still, got a ways to go. Try a little higher speed. There's 1200. Just not quite enough to hang on to yet. I'm gonna make a trip up the side again here, or at least on this corner. Check my tightness. Still good. And I just do that to help me visualize where I am, what I can do, what I can't do, where I don't want to touch, that sort of thing. But I'm getting real close to where I don't want to touch, and I still don't have a tenon. Well, now I see I've pushed this in so far. I've got a good bite with my drive center, but a piece of the wood is touching the chuck jaws, so that's as far as I can go. So if that loosens up, I'm going to have to cut away some of this wood so I can get closer. Right now it still feels quite tight. I'm going to take a smaller gouge and kind of work at the bottom of this would-be tenon. It can actually be smaller than this pencil line. It actually needs to be smaller than that pencil line. That's just a guide to get me started. It needs to be at least a good 1/8 of an inch below that. So I'm going to try a 1/2 inch gouge and see if I can get in here a little tighter. See if that brings me any closer to a tenon, but I think I'm dreaming. Well, what do we got? We got about 2/3 of a tenon there. That's almost good enough. I might be happy with that. I'm pretty close to happy. I'm just waiting for the comments. What are you, nuts? You didn't even have a whole tenon? I know, but do I have enough? I think I do. Yeah, this is just too beautiful. On the outside here, it's just too beautiful to touch any more than I have, which means I'm kind of locked into this particular shape. Whatever that is, I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm going to start working on this edge. Right here and right here. I think that's my stopping point. So that's our outside shape. What do you think? Hey, we're not done yet. Let me get cleaned up here and we'll do some sanding. I'm going to start the sanding by sanding the entire piece with my Sandoflex. Let me get my mask on. I'll show you how that's going to work. The lathe is spinning at 350 RPM in reverse. So I'll do that, and then I'll, with it standing still like this, and that'll let me get into any areas I can't reach by just skipping over them this way. And then once I'm done with that, and that's 120 grit. Then I'm going to switch to 80 grit 2-inch disc sander. And that'll just get the high spots, the lighter colored wood that I've turned. It won't get these areas because they're below this. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Probably going to take me a good hour, and then we'll determine what kind of finish we're going to put on here. See you back here in a bit. You know, most of us do this wood turning thing because it's fun, and sanding is part of wood turning. But I'll tell you what, this was not fun. This was very difficult, and it took a very long time, and I'm irritated about it. But it came out really nice, really nice. Really happy with that. It feels so good, and there's so much to feel. I did not put a finish on. I typically put a finish on the outside before I move to the inside, but I didn't do it in this case because there's so much wrap over here, you know, finished part against unfinished part, and I didn't know where to stop with the finish, so we'll just do it all at once. So I'm going to chuck this up. As I told you, I don't have a complete tenon. I've got most of one. From here to about here. I don't have one here. But I think it's going to hold just fine. I'm counting on it. Now I'm going to tighten that just slightly. And I'm going to bring up my tailstock and live center. And I'm going to use the same hole that was the center hole for my 4-prong drive center. And I'm just going to apply a little pressure with the chuck loose. And then I'm going to tighten the chuck. And that way I know it's well centered and well seated. And in this case we really need that advantage because we don't have a complete tenon. I'm getting started early this morning. Early for me, not for most people in the world, for a couple of reasons. One, I'm really excited to start working on the inside, and for two, because it's supposed to get to 90 degrees today. Very unusual. We set a record yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but it was hot. I'm not going to use tailstock support because this piece is pretty small. Even though I don't have a really complete tenon there, I think I have enough that it's going to hold okay. And this is going to be fun because it's unusual, but it's also going to be difficult because it's unusual. I don't want to take any more away than I have to. I think I'll probably come up to here, but I might go into this somewhat because this is such a high point compared to everything else. But, you know, sometimes that's really good. So I'll start going in at this point and see what the rest of it looks like. We do have a loose piece there. We're just going to kind of play it by ear. But it's a cool looking piece, right? Look at that. I mean, that is something. Look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. 5/8 bowl gouge, 1/2-inch bowl gouge. I think, well, I don't know. I'll see which one's sharp. Let me get my mask and face shield on, figure out what kind of RPMs we can get here. I guess we can do that right now. We'll go there, 1500 RPM. Very well balanced, so we'll start at 1500 RPM. I'll get my mask and face shield on and grab some kind of bowl gouge. I'll be right back. I gotta tell you, it's really tempting to go with this hollowing tool. It just makes the job so much easier. And this is what I used on the rosebush root ball I did a couple of weeks ago that was so unusual. That just turned out beautifully. I didn't even start with a gouge. But in this case I am going to start with a gouge, but I might resort to this just for simplicity's sake. And I'm going with a 1/2-inch gouge. I just sharpened it up. It's really sharp and I'm really happy with that. So let me get my mask and face shield on. And again, it's 1500 RPM. And I think I was looking at this, I think I'm going to come out here a little further than I said. If I go here, that's going to make a really small bowl with really thick sides. So I think I'm going to come out here a ways, probably halfway through this. See? It's dull already. My chisel is dull already, and that's one of the big advantages to carbide. Okay, I'll go sharpen up again. We'll see how far we can get with this, but I'm thinking carbide's the way to go in this case. Yep. It's dull again. Okay, carbide it is. I'm kind of a purist. I really prefer gouges, but sometimes you just gotta cut your losses and move along. We could be at this all day long if all I do is sharpen. Let me get the carbide tool and we'll get at it again. Well, even that's having a hard time. I'm pushing pretty hard and I'm not getting very far. Maybe I'll rotate this cutter. I think I've rotated it once since I've had it. I'll be right back. I might even sharpen it. I'll be right back. Okay, we'll try this again. Yeah, that's much better. Just such an odd shape and so many voids and whatnot. I want to check and see that I'm not doing anything silly here. I still got about 3/4 of an inch. I'm also going to scrape this right here. I'm not going to use this little tool. Yeah, that's a lot better. And I just have to stop often because these indentations on the outside, I don't want to go through them from the inside. I'm getting pretty close here already. So we're still going to have thick walls. Just because of that kind of thing. I don't want to go much thinner than that at that point. Yeah, see, that's about 3/16 of an inch right there. I just can't go out any further than that. Even though it's thicker over here, about 3/8 of an inch. But I think 3/16 is thin enough. So I'm looking for any other thing on the outside that goes in a long ways that I might have forgotten about, like down here. It's actually about here, but real close to this. There's a big natural gouge in the wood. So if I measure inside that gouge, oh yeah, that's also about 3/16 of an inch. So I can't go much thinner even here without coming through the bottom, or at least this bottom corner. And I don't want to do that. So we're just about there. I just need to go a little deeper. I don't think I took away much here yet. Yeah, still got 5/8 of an inch. Just lots to consider when you're doing something like this. But, you know, you just take your time, check often, and you're golden. Yeah, we're about there. That's about 3/8 of an inch on the bottom. Scary stuff, you know, but that's what makes it fun. How far can you push it until it's too far? This is going to be so hard to sand on the inside, I'm telling you. The outside was awful. This is going to be awfuler. But, time for sanding. Yippee. As I did on the outside, I'm going to start sanding the inside with my Sandoflex. I'll be going in this direction as the piece spins. And that's to kind of soften this edge and work on this area. And this area here, this is where I believe a branch broke off, or maybe another root section broke off of there. And probably the same thing here. This, I had to glue this little piece right here to this little piece right here. And you might be able to tell that's wiggly. It's a little bit wiggly. It's all one piece now, and they're securely glued together, but I have to be careful that I don't catch that and yank it off of there, because it's a nice feature. You probably can't quite tell it from your angle, but it's a nice feature on the outside, and I don't want to lose it. Let me get my mask on. I'll show you how that's going to work. Lathe spinning at about 350. Well, that's just scary. I don't want to break that off. Anyway, so I'll be doing that. I may stop also and just do it like this. So I'll do that, and when that's looking good, I'll grab my 2-inch disc sander and attempt to do this. Boy, that's scary. I don't want to break that off. If I get a catch on here, it's just not going to be a good thing. Yeah, that's going to be slow going too. Yippee for me. I'll see you back here when we put a finish on here. I still haven't decided what it's going to be, but we'll work it out. See you in a bit. Alrighty then. I'm going with Howard Feed and Wax on this piece. I want to be able to feel the wood, which you can with shellac, my other preferred finish. But somehow this just seems a little more natural once in a while to me. You can feel every little nook and cranny when you use this stuff. I'm going to have to use a brush to get in a lot of these places. It was a pain, the sanding. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it was a pain. But that little piece that I was worried about, that stuck with us. So that's a big plus. And again, I'm finishing the inside and the outside both, because I didn't do the outside before I turned it around. So I will get this coat. And I just do one coat. I've done multiple coats before. It doesn't seem to make any difference whatsoever. So I'm going to put on just this one coat. Get it in all the nooks and crannies with my brush. And I'll bring you back when it's time to turn it around. And take off the tenon. And then we'll be done. Yippee. Pretty. See you in a bit. Okay, I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to place the bowl over that, and this is a cute bowl, I'll tell you what. You'll see it here pretty quick. It's just darling. I've still got my center hole here for reference. I'm going to lightly apply pressure, jiggle the bowl around a little bit, make sure it's seated on the bottom there. Apply a little more pressure. Bring up my tool rest. Give it a little spin. Hold my thumb up here to make sure that it feels like it's hitting all the way around, and it is. So we're well centered. And I'm just going to take a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge and begin removing that tenon. And I need to get my tool rest a little closer and switch to a swept back gouge. 3/8 inch swept back. Get in here and finish it up. Still turning at 600. So now I'm going to turn the speed down to about 400. Just to keep it controllable. Now I'm going to turn the speed down to 200. I'm going to put my right hand on the gouge and my left hand on the switch. And I'm going to apply pressure with the bottom of the gouge towards the headstock. And when that little nub stops turning like that, then we know we're through. Then I'll just take it over to the workbench and sand this up. Well, there it is. One Rhodey root ball bowl in the books. What do you think? Pretty cool. Lots to see here. Big old split in the bottom. Natural. That's not really a split, it's just a void. Very cool. Look at that. Saved my cool little feature there. I'm liking it. Lots of different colors. Lots of different textures. Here's the bottom all finished up. Thank you, Dave from Calmwood Creations, for sending this to us. Beautiful little piece. Ended up being 6 inches by 5 inches by 3.5 inches. She's a beauty. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly, I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. Your comments are always welcome, and I respond to all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.